Ahoy, my friends, Ryder here. Alright, so today I'm going to be taking you guys through the very hard Cawpine dungeon in the Crisis Dungeons. It's the event dungeon over here, or the Cawpine Caverns. This one actually took me quite a few tries to get the S plus on. I'm going to show you two different teams that you can use for this. So the first team that I was going for is this one right here with Red 13. And this team, you can definitely get it done. I wasn't able to get higher than S rank with this team. It just lacks a little bit of DPS, to be honest. And so I kept going through the dungeon. I kept on seeing all these like ice ability boosts that you can get from the trance after beating the bosses. And I was like, that's kind of strange that they keep offering you ice abilities since there's only one boss, like the fire dragon, that is weak to ice. So if we go down here, we'll look at the symbol enemy info. So you have the destined Rattel, who's the final boss, the motor ball, the death machine, the mole crawler, and the red dragon. So the red dragon here is weak to ice, but it's pretty simple to take down. Other than that, we have 3 enemies weak to thunder, and then 1 enemy weak to quake and water. As you can see here on the sigils, we have triangle, X, and diamond, but I'm just going to recommend for you guys to only take triangle sigils. You don't need anything else. There's no sigil break in any of these fights that require only X. So triangle will get you done really well, so as you can see here. And so if you do have Red 13, honestly, if this was OB6 instead of OB5, so I get that high debuff on the thunder, it'll really help for the opening boss like damage points, because it saves you a lot of time. Other than that, this is pretty good setup right here. If you are going to run it, I have Quakera Blow, but the problem with these fights is that the major enemies that can be really tanky, like the final boss, Destined Rattel, he's weak to magic, and so like Red 13 is kind of like pseudo physical magic, like 2k on both stats down the line. Cloud is physical, obviously, so they do a lot less damage against him, which makes the fight drag out way longer. And in the final fight, he starts to use Prismatic Ray over and over once he's like under like 40% HP, which can really knock you out fast, or at least even if you beat it, knock down your score, which makes it hard to get an S+. So, for those of you who do have Sephiroth and did pull for the Edged Wings and the Aonibi, because there are so many ice ability boosts from the trances in this, by the time you get Sephiroth to the end, if you take every single ice boost, he basically just like eats him. So this is my setup for this. As you guys can see, I have the triangle sigil for Cloud in the 3rd slot where he gets double potency on the break. For Sephiroth, I have his triangle sigil in the 3rd slot, so he gets double potency on the break. Aerith, I have hers in the 1st slot. And then for Cloud, I have Blizzara Blow in the 1st slot. For Sephiroth, I have Watera. And then I have a heal on Sephiroth's 2nd slot. For Cloud, I do have Quakera Blow, but I honestly don't really use it. He just uses Sea Splitter from the Maritime Sword on the final boss. And then for Aerith, I do have a Watera stacked here as well. So a lot of water damage. We have the lightning damage from Cloud's sword, we have the ice damage from Sephiroth, and then we have the Hellfire from Cloud for the summon, and the Diamond Dust from Sephiroth. I'm just going to show you guys my sub-equips real quick, just so that you guys can see if you want to try and mimic the build. And then, last but not least, here is Sephiroth, and their stats right here. He's at 5.5k, Cloud's 6.5k, and Aerith is at 6.7k HP. Alright, well that being said, let's get into the battle. Looks like I only have one more left of these today. I've been having to pay the 100 crystals just because it's been taking me so many tries to figure out this guide, but this is like a guaranteed S+ run right here. I'll show you guys. Sephiroth honestly makes all the difference. He makes it so much easier. Alright, so here's the first boss. This is the mole crawler. It's like the easier version of the destined Rattel. Alright, for Aerith here, I am just going to start her off on Saving Grace. And then we're just going to switch to Sephiroth. Oh, it looks like he already used that. And we're just going to do damage. Cloud is just going to be using his Thunder Strike over there. Honestly, even though this boss is first, it still feels like decently tough, to be honest. Alright, so I'm going to get a little heal here. And I am playing on auto. I'll go back and forth periodically throughout the fights. Alright. It's really hard to beat this guy before he goes into this first move. But it's okay, you can still get around 60k points for it. Right. And we got one more. Alright, so that's that boss down. First one. Honestly, they're not all that tanky. When you first come into this dungeon, you're like, wow, this first boss is looking pretty brutal. But honestly, they kind of get a little bit easier from here. Alright, so I got 54,000 on him. If you're ranging between 55 and 60,000 throughout most of the fights, and on my S plus run, I got 47,000 on the last boss. So, alright, so here we have ice potential, lightning potential, and lightning resist. So we're going to go with ice potential. We're literally, the entire focus of this run is to just fully boost Sephiroth's ice potential. Alright, so I'm just going to run over here. We're going to fight the ads. Alright, take these guys out as quickly as possible. Alright, that takes that. Alright, going into the second fight right here. So the first thing I'm going to use, I'm just going to use Hellfire. I want to get rid of the ads and go straight onto the main boss. But I'm going to save Diamond Dust for the next boss over there. Alright, that guy is going to be down. And so is that. Then we're going to switch over to the Stomp. Alright, still does a decent amount of damage, honestly. Switch back, we'll get the Kiraga. And straight into the DPS stage. So we should be able to beat this guy the moment we break him right here. Alright, and that fight is done. Honestly, so much easier. I was really trying to get a video out with Red 13, and he was so close. He does have the sleek collar, basically is the same thing as Cloud's bandaged sword. It gives a to all allies magic defense up. So I was using that for this final boss. But it seems like the beta is more to beat him fast rather than survive a longer period of time. So here we have healing potential 30%, lightning resist 10%, and lightning resist 25%, but it lowers your damage. In this crisis dungeon or event dungeon, you want to do as max damage as possible, so we're not going to do the third one. I'm just going to go for healing potency 30%. Alright, and we're going to run down here. We are going to get our key and some more items. So you get 2 cabbages, or cottages. Alright, let's go over here. We'll put in the key. The goal is to get to the final boss fight without actually using any heals, which is possible depending on how well you do on this next fight. So the final boss is in there, so you don't need to open that. Just run over here to the right. We have our second fight. I want to see my HP. Alright, so everyone's pretty topped off. So we're going to go into this. The first thing I'm going to do with Aerith is I'm just going to use Saving Grace. Just to get a little bit of a boost at the beginning. And then from there, we are just going to break him as fast as possible, because he starts to do more and more damage the longer he's in this phase. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to use Hellfire and Healing Wind. I'm going to save Diamond Dust for the final boss. We are going to take his damage right here, though, unfortunately. But then, after this, we should be fine to take him down. Alright, so there's that boss done. You can beat him before he does the like turning burning ray ability, but it's a little bit tricky to get off that much damage quick enough, especially without like a thunder debuff. Alright, so we got about 59,000, almost 60k, which is really good. The highest I've really done on any of these bosses is like 61,000, and that's like, I'll show you guys on the next fight how easy the next one is if you have Diamond Dust ready to go. So here we're going to take the Ice Potential 30%. You would think if you go in here with like a fully built Maritime Sword OB6, then you don't really need to do this, but I only have it OB2, so obviously our focus is fully like focused onto ice. Alright, so there's the key. We're just going to come over here. There's nothing but chests in this room and a pair of one random encounter. So just make sure you have a little bit of HP going into this fight. Okay. We're just going to try and take down as many of them as possible before they get off their attack. Alright. Okay, let's go. Okay, so going into the fourth fight here, we haven't healed, we haven't used any items. Now, if you need to heal, obviously you want to do it. You don't want to push it, you don't want to lose a character. But I only want to use one cottage for the whole fight. So right here we have Aerith 3k, Cloud 2.4k, and Sephiroth, and they're at 46%. So they're right at the point of a cottage. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to go into this fight. And I'm going to show you how fast you can make this with Sephiroth fully built up for ice right here. Alright, so right off the bat, I'm just going to switch to Sephiroth. We're going to use one Frenzied Stance. We're going to use one Aerial Frostblade. And then we're going to Diamond Dust, and this dude is going to be done. Hopefully. We'll see how much damage this does. Alright, there we go. 92,000 damage from one Shiva Diamond Dust, so that's the fourth boss done. I don't really think you can get much better than that, and we'll see how much points we get. I think it's 61,000. Yeah. That's basically the max you can get on these fights, is around 61k. So if you're getting between 55 and 60, it's pretty solid. Alright, that was the fourth boss down. As you guys can see, looking pretty chill. Honestly, this dungeon can be really hard though, so it is a little tricky. Here, on my last run, I did take the Earth Potency 30% and Light and Resist down, but I am actually going to just go for the Healing Potential, because this way we will take less damage from the final boss, which will give us a higher score, because he does the Prismatic Ray, which is a lot of lightning damage. Alright, so we're just going to run down here, right here. Okay, looking good. And then before the boss, we're just going to go in here, we're going to cottage. Everyone is back up to full health. You can use a Power Jelly on Cloud just for the extra damage. On my run, I did use 3 potions and a cottage and a Power Jelly and still got the S+, so we're down 3 potions right now, so all looking pretty good. Alright, so going into the final fight here, this guy can be a pain if you don't have enough DPS. He just starts recycling his abilities. Alright, so on Aerith, we're going to start with Saving Grace. Sephiroth already used his Frenzied Stance, going into Aerial Frostblade. And we are just going to Aerial Frostblade the shit out of this dude. You really want magic damage for this fight right here. Alright, looking good so far. And although I am playing on auto, I am actually basically playing every character. It's kind of an interesting thing with this game where you can like slightly different playstyle with each stance. Alright, so we are going to break this as quickly as possible and then go for the win. Alright, Frenzied Stance, straight into Aerial Frostblade. Just going to do as much damage as possible before we get to the final point here where he starts to charge his attack. And we are going to use all our summons. Hopefully it's enough to kill him. Hellfire doesn't really do enough damage. If you do have Ramuh also, I only have Ramuh's first ability at level 2, so I'm not really using it. But it will really help a lot for the first 3 fights. Alright, hopefully we can get this. I don't think we're going to get it. Alright, so we are going to take 1 hit, but we didn't take the minus 30% lightning damage, so it's not going to do quite as much. Actually, that's a lot less. And the fight is over. Alright, so that is going to be the event dungeon for the Cawpine Caverns. We'll see what our score is right here, but honestly, I'm pretty sure it's S+. That was one of my best runs. Alright, 50,000 on the final boss with a final dungeon score of 287. And that is going to be it. Let's see here how we did. Honestly, this is a really fun one. I like how there's so many different elements going on. I really would have loved to get the S+ with Red 13. I did get the S with Red 13. But there you go. This is the S+ run for the Cawpine Caverns. Very hard. I hope this helps you guys a lot. Honestly, I think since so many people pulled for Sephiroth, I think they put that ice potency in there on the trance abilities just because this dungeon would have been really hard. A lot of the other characters haven't gotten as many weapons yet, so, you know, just trying to do damage with materia, even with 4-star materia, is still pretty hard. So I think, in my opinion, just go full ice and just take him down. But yeah, that being said, I will just go back to my team really quick. I appreciate you guys for checking out these videos. I appreciate the support, the likes, the comments, and I'm always happy to hear what you guys have to say. If you have new strategies or something like that, I'm always keen on learning about the game. But yeah, this is the overall build for the dungeon. I hope it helps you guys. And that being said, hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care and peace.